Alright, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to Real Madrid Hub again. I'm your host, Dr. JOTA, and today, Monday, we will be talking about the latest news of Real Madrid, the most important news of Real Madrid. Of course, right after that disappointing, that frustrating draw against Cadiz, because the problem is we couldn't get more distance respectively to Sevilla. It's only 6 points. They are only 6 points behind us, and they have one game less. So we were, in my opinion, some of us, some of the Madridistas out there were thinking, okay, this is pretty much done, right? It was like, okay, we have to wrap this whole thing up. We can win La Liga. We are closer than ever. This is pretty much done. There's nothing anybody else can do about that. And we are going to win La Liga. I think that the 90% of the Madridistas last week, we were thinking that way, right? Just let me know if I'm wrong, but I think that the 90% of us were thinking that way. So what we think today is very different, because now what we are seeing is to Sevilla really close and getting closer, because they still, and remember this, Sevilla still has one game less than Real Madrid. So eventually, potentially, could be only 3 points ahead of them. And of course, Sevilla is playing incredible. So we can't afford to keep losing points, to keep losing games, or losing more points from now and on. We have to win pretty much every single game we have ahead, and that includes the game tomorrow against Athletic de Bilbao. So it was frustrating. Yes, it was frustrating. It was disappointing. It was something that we didn't really like it, but it happened, and during the season it will happen again. So we have to assume we will keep losing some points from now and on, and the rest of the season we have ahead. So let's see what happens. But yeah, we still have to be very concentrated on getting the goal, the mission accomplished, and all the stuff, man. Because if we get unfocused or something like that, I don't know what is going to happen to us, but we might lose La Liga again. And this is something that already happened to us in the past, in the first season of Carlo Ancelotti back in the day, 7 years ago. So let's see what happens, and let's see how Carlo Ancelotti can manage and go through this situation. So let me get started with the news of Real Madrid today. Completely different story. This is just pretty much about transfers and rumors and speculations about new players, signings, and all the stuff. And let me get started off with this news that I read this morning. It is regarding to Tolisso. Tolisso, the player of Bayern de Munich. Some people around him, some people, I don't know, whether relatives or friends or agents or whoever it is, are claiming that he will finally end playing for Real Madrid the next season. And the reason for that is because the player is finishing his contract with Bayern de Munich in 2022. So he would sign for Real Madrid for free, which is good because it's that kind of profile Real Madrid is looking for in this transfers market. As you know, Real Madrid doesn't want to spend so much money, and of course the only money we want to spend is pretty much in players like Kylian Mbape or in Erling Haaland. The transfer fee for Kylian Mbape, and also the transfer fee for Borussia Dortmund if we go ahead and sign Erling Haaland. Let me tell you why. It's good because Tolisso was worth 41 million the day Bayern de Munich bought it from Olympique de Lyon. And by the way, it was a requirement from Carlo Ancelotti. So I don't know if the thing is about Carlo Ancelotti that wants to recover the player for Real Madrid, or wants to sign him because he knows the player, he knows him very well, and he thinks that he might do a good job for Real Madrid. I don't know what is the reason for it, but apparently Tolisso is surrounding the loop of Real Madrid for the next season, and it is pretty much because he would sign for free to play for Los Blancos. So now, that being said, let me get started with the most powerful news that we have regarding to Erling Haaland and Kylian Mbappe, and this is essentially the most important news that we have today. So, okay, regarding to Erling Haaland, Watzke, the CEO of Borussia Dortmund, last night, he said something really interesting for all los Madridistas. The first thing he said, it was, yes, Real Madrid is super interested in signing Erling Haaland, and I'd say Real Madrid is the only one who is pushing really hard for signing Erling Haaland next year, or is pushing harder than anybody else to sign Erling Haaland next year. And right after that, he said something really even more interesting than the first thing he said, and it was, I would be okay, I would be so proud if Erling Haaland is able to win the Champions League with Real Madrid, which is, in my opinion, I mean, it's a blast, because if you think about it, when a president of another team is telling everybody out there that he wants to see one of his players winning the Champions with a different team, in any other situation, in any other club, that president would be hanging from a rope, or like we say in Spain, he would be hanging from the public place or the public square or whatever you want to call it. But it's not allowed it's not allowed to any president to say something like that. To me, it was really a controversial statement because it's the president of another team. So let me explain you a little bit the reason why he said something like that, and he said something that way. It's pretty much because Watzke and Borussia Dortmund own a lot of favors to Florentino Perez. 6 years ago, Florentino Perez, who owns this company, ACS, is a construction company. This company and Florentino Perez helped out to Borussia Dortmund to refinance all the works and construction works that they had going on in the stadium of Borussia Dortmund. So that is because, and that is the reason why Borussia Dortmund, if they have to favor to one of the clubs that are chasing the signing of Erling Haaland, the only club they will help out to, it's going to be Real Madrid. Because the relationship between both clubs, it's really good, and Watzke and Florentino Perez have a great relationship. So to me, there's no doubt if there's any club Borussia Dortmund will pick to negotiate for Erling Haaland, that club will be Real Madrid. So it is important for you to keep in mind. And now let's move on and let's just start talking about Kylian Mbappe. But it's not going to be for just because he said something important or something like that. It is because Leonardo, last night in Europe 1, he said something really interesting because he's recognizing Mbappe will leave Paris Saint-Germain and he will probably join Real Madrid as of the next month of January. And he said, quote here, if Mbappe wants to stay, if Mbappe decides to stay in Paris Saint-Germain, he will stay. Because that is our desire. It's a very complicated situation because we'd love for him to stay forever, but we have to respect his position, which is not easy. I think that there's still time and possibilities for him to renew with Paris Saint-Germain. That is essentially what he said, right? So if you read twice this statement from Leonardo, it's the kind of things that you say, okay, he's assuming Kylian Mbappe will leave, 70% chance, and there's still a 30% chance for him to stay. But it's not the most likely to happen, right? So the most likely that happened to him is pretty much to sign for Real Madrid. And now Leonardo, who was the most, tough, I would say the toughest guy in Paris Saint-Germain trying to retain Kylian Mbappe, my opinion is now he's assuming that he will leave and there's nothing he can do about that, right? So it is almost impossible for him to do anything. And to me, now Kylian Mbappe will sign for Real Madrid. And this will bring me to the next news, the last story I have for you all guys, because according to Diario AS Marco Reis, Mbappe prefers to wait a little bit before to sign any contract with Real Madrid until the eliminatory between Real Madrid and PSG is over. And the reason for that is because the player still has in his mind the fans from Paris Saint-Germain and doesn't want to offend anybody, so he might prefer to stay for sign for Real Madrid the next contract, the next pre-agreement, pre-contract, whatever you want to call it. But the thing is, he doesn't want to sign next month of January when he was supposed to sign the pre-agreement with Real Madrid. And the only reason for that is because he wants to wait a little bit so nobody else can hear about that. And if so, they can rest assured that he will sign the new contract right after the eliminatory against Real Madrid, because he wants to be respectful and he doesn't want to offend anybody. And the only reason for that is because he wants to, just be respectful. That is the thing. So if we were waiting for Kylian Mbappe to sign a new contract with Real Madrid, a new agreement or whatever you want to call it, we will have to wait a little bit more until March the 9th to see Kylian Mbappe signing a new contract for Real Madrid. So now let me know your thoughts about that. Just comment in the section below, and of course subscribe my channel, Real Madrid Hub.